a force unbroken, with banners high and hearts awoken. The sound of pipes, our war is calling. Like thunderous waves, our duty is falling. Stand tall, together we fight, with courage bound in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity our hearts shall sing the legacy of warriors through every reign. With battle cries we forge our fate, in fields of valor we elevate. As shadows loom, our spirits gleam. Brothers in arms, we are the dream. Fearless, we take the night, with courage bound in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity, our hearts shall sing the legacy of warriors through every reign. As dawn breaks, we know our name.
Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of Into the Red Rabbit Hole. I'm Nighthawk, your host, waiting for the fluffy man himself, Eric Testerman, to come in. He's running a little behind. He had apparently a moment today, and I'll let him explain that when he comes on. But I want to thank everybody who's on right now, and we're going to get through the disclaimer and a few other things, and we're going to get into the thick of it. And my question while I'm going through all the disclaimers and everything, I want you to keep this in the back of your mind. Do you believe in mass abduction? Whether it's alien related, UFO related, supernatural related, rapture, whatever you want to call it. Do you believe in mass abduction? And we're going to get into that subject tonight and a couple other different things, I'm sure, because we always run off the rails. So the disclaimer for this channel is Nighthawk High Strangeness Podcast channel. Copyright disclaimer is this channel may use some copyrighted material without specific authorization of the owner, but contends that it falls under the fair use, which is the Copyright Act of 1976. Nighthawk High Strangeness Podcast channel under Section 107 of the Copyright Act of 1976 makes allowances for fair use for purposes such as criticism, commentary, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, research, parody, and let's not forget the entertainment value. Under Section 107 of the Copyright Act 1976, otherwise known herein as the fair use. All right. So that being said, I have to catch my breath. I'm a little short of breath today. Okay. All right. The next one I'm going to read is what I always read. Okay. I have to do this, guys. I'm sorry, but if I don't, it's amazing what you got to do in order to not get them to scold you or censor you. As always, I claim fair use of all content under the Copyright Act 1976. Furthermore, I wish to acknowledge that not all opinions and theories mentioned during the podcast are not necessarily the opinions or views of the Nighthawk High Strangeness Podcast channel or aka William Nighthawk, me. We at Nighthawk High Strangeness YouTube channel and Facebook channels merely bring the open format to discuss the possibilities of these topics happening in the past, present, and future. Okay, so please join the Nighthawk High Strangeness YouTube channel family by subscribing, and please hit that like button if you can. Okay, and join the chat family too, but be respectful and please always put your questions in capital letters. Okay, that makes it easier for a blind old Indian like myself to see it. Okay, so thank you everybody for being here. Let me get that down there, and I'm going to put something a little bit more appropriate for today's topic up on the screen. Okay, what we have going on. Okay, mass abduction. There's that howl again, Corey, by the way. Okay. Now I got something howling outside the house about 2 miles away, coming from the mountains to the east of us. That's the third howl I've heard. So, anyways, that being said, there's all kinds of weird crap going on around here anymore. Uh, anyways, mass abductions, okay? I don't know how you all feel about it, but I've done a lot of research on it this past week, in between of doing other things. And I've actually pinpointed quite a few locations around the world um, that can be considered mass abduction locations. And I believe you probably could guess quite a few of them yourselves if you think about it. Okay. And the first thing that comes to mind would be the Bermuda Triangle. Okay. The Bermuda Triangle, okay, is quite when you a couple years ago, before the whole concept of AI taking over the control over everything, when you did your research, you can get the exact number of aircraft that disappeared with the exact number of occupants within each craft. Okay. And each incident. Now AI won't disclose that. They'll give you a generality type of an answer. Okay. But they're roughly saying that 20 airlines size craft with undetermined amount of people have disappeared somehow in the Bermuda Triangle. Okay. And we all heard the reports of the one Cessna pilot that said that he left, I think, Fort Lauderdale, and he arrived at his destination like an hour early on the other side of the state, by means of a almost like a portal, like you're seeing in this picture, opening up in front of him, and he flew through it with his Cessna, his single engine plane. Okay. And he said he experienced all kinds of, electric magnetic compasses were going crazy, radio was crackling, that kind of stuff. And then once he left it, he was past his place, basically where he wanted to go, by like 5 minutes, and he was at least an hour or so ahead of schedule, which is pretty amazing if you consider that. What's amazing is he survived it. He wasn't one of the ones that never came back. But today's topic is the ones that don't come back, guys. Okay. He was just one of the lucky ones. There was an incident down in Australia. Okay. And to my family and friends down in Australia, my extended family, good day, guys. I can't remember the young man's name, but he was also in a Cessna, and he had just recently got his pilot license, but he was very, very good at being a pilot. He followed all the rules and everything. And he indicated that there was a craft above him, and all of a sudden his craft wasn't seen again. And it was over the waters down by Australia. Okay. So, and he was never found again. Neither was his plane, apparently. Then we go to Alaska and the Great Alaskan Triangle. It's characterized by its vast frontier and numerous disappearances, with some reports indicating that more than 20,000 people have vanished from that region. 20,000. That's a lot of people. Okay. Even if you sprinkle it over about a 10-year period. Okay. The number of missing people in Alaskan Triangle is statistically higher than the national average, leading to the suggestion that something more than simply getting lost in the wilderness might be at play. Okay. Well, we all think of Alaska Triangle. There was an incident. This is a very famous one, too. I think you all will know it as soon as I start describing it. Okay. A significant number of disappearances in the area, including a large aircraft like a Douglas C-54 in 1950 with 44 people on board. A flight that went missing near Nome in 2025 with 10 people on board. An earlier flight in 72 with 4 people on board that were never found, folks. Never found. Okay. That's the key word. That's the key word. Never found. Okay. So, let me make myself bigger here. There we go. Oh, God, no, thank you. Never found. Curious. I'm very, very curious as to why. And I did some, I did a lot of when I do my research. I may not be able to get out boots on the ground anymore, and I will try to eventually, God willing, with my health. But lately, it's been researching from right here and going through old documentation, old religious texts and stuff like that, and trying to correlate and connect the dots. So I started checking, and one of the things, and let me pull up my notes here. I'm going to lose you guys on the screen, but let me pull up my notes. All right. The Book of Enoch. I know. There he goes again about the Book of Enoch. But it's not just that book. It's so many others, including the Hindu texts, all kinds of different stuff out there from the past that explain a lot. Okay. And it's like I've always said, in the past, they describe things similar, but give it a different name. Okay. And we do the same thing throughout history. Okay. We give things different names, even though they might be the same exact things. Like portals were called gateways, portals are called doorways, portals were called, views seen in biblical form. The Book of Enoch. Enoch tells of seeing open gateways that angels used to get to and from the heavens. Okay. Now, what does that mean to you? What if those gateways are the same portals that the missing aircraft are flying into and not returning? Has anybody ever thought about that? So, in the Book of Enoch, it describes that he traversed the entire world down here, and he basically saw 3 gateways in each cardinal direction. Okay, so 3 for the north, 3 for the south, 3 for the east, and 3 for the west. Okay, so what we have are gateways. Think about it. The first one that comes to mind is, everybody talks about the Antarctic, how the mysterious it is and all that. Well, if you go a little bit to the west of that location, you'll see. Well, I'll just pull the map up. Okay, I've got a map here that it isn't really your traditional globe map. Okay, not the one that you see on the UN's insignia. Even the map, the world map today, the modern one, is depicted 90% wrong. Amazing, huh? 90% wrong. And here's why. Take a look at this. This is the Gall Peters map, okay, of the world. Look at how big Africa is compared to the rest of the world. It's amazing, huh? Look at South America, you know? I mean, there is so much to be said about the honesty of what we were taught growing up. We weren't taught the right stuff, folks. I hate to say it. We were not taught the right stuff. That map there is a pretty good depiction of why I've actually looked at the different locations. Okay, let me back this up a little bit. Okay, but that map is pretty good depiction of why I started searching for these locations. And I have found it. Let me go back to my notes. I have found throughout the entire world several gateways, okay, in specific locations that the Book of Enoch mentions. Okay, so we have, not only do we have Antarctica, but we have Australia, which has a lot of strange things happening. We have New Zealand, which has a very, very mysterious, mystique location on it. Okay. So there's three right there. Okay. In the southern region of our world. Okay. Our known world. Okay. Um, you go over, you're going to discover. Wow, that was loud. You're going to discover. Sorry, I'm hearing all kinds of howling outside, and it isn't wolves and coyotes. Um, you're going to discover you got Bermuda Triangle, you got the Alaskan Triangle, you got the North Pole. Okay, then you have locations like, um, let me see here, other locations that I've found. Okay, that could be where these gateways are located, where craft have been disappearing, and portals have actually been seen opening up. Okay, and a couple of them, other than Alaska, are right here in the United States. Okay, and I'll get into that here in a minute. And Mexico, um, Sedona is one. Okay, Stonehenge is another one. Mount Shasta is another one. Okay, and of course, Antarctica and the North Pole are two of them. Chiapas, Mexico, the Mayan pyramids. Imagine that. The Great Pyramids of Egypt, and many other locations around the world. Okay, these are merely just a few out of what I've found. Okay, and I'm going to take it one step further. What if the Northern Lights were a product of the gateway opening? The energy from the gateway opening, so supernatural entities can come through, or for planes to disappear. Okay, a lot of the things that we see, um, people really, really doubt. But there was one good instance, and I'm going to put it up on the screen right now. Take a look at this picture with the plane again. Okay. Okay, as you see, and yes, that's just a depiction. Okay, that's not an actual happening. But now I want you to see this. This was taken over Sedona. That is literally a portal that was posted by a friend of mine from the friends list. Okay, And it was actually a video. That's a still shot that I took with the screen capture. But what he recorded is amazing, and it's above Sedona, folks. Recent capture. Okay, I'm a firm believer that Stonehenge is another one. Okay, I really am. The amount of sky activity and happening, and even crop circles within that area, is amazing. Okay. So that being said, let me see here. What else do I got? Put this up, let you guys read it. The Alaskan Triangle is characteristic by its vast frontier and numerous disappearances, some reports indicating more than 20,000 people have vanished in the region. Okay. So what's new? We know not to fly in Alaska. Okay. Between all the weird activity, the northern lights that freak you out, and just the vast wilderness and all the unknowns in Alaska. Then let me get back to my notes. What if all the strange sky events being reported aren't UAPs or UFOs, but those are the same gateways and portal openings up like the ones in the Alaskan Triangle and other areas of the known world? What if the northern lights were caused by the energy caused from these gateways opening? Okay, now supposedly these same gateways, everyone, are what controls our environment. Okay, the way Enoch described it, it's not only a way for the supernatural angels to come through into our world from the heavens, but it's also a means of, like, the north winds will blow for winter. It's a way for the celestial events to move about throughout the sky at night. All kinds of different weird things. Okay, so let me see, what else do I got here. This is the Bermuda Triangle information. Okay. And when I pulled this up, and I have back copies of everything, okay? But when I pulled this up, it literally says that there's no specific, specifying amount of planes and all that with more than 3 passengers that disappear in the Bermuda Triangle at any one time. But they estimate that it's around 20 airplanes that have vanished in the area over the centuries. Okay. I think it's a little bit more than that. Okay. In the Bermuda Triangle. Many experts believe that the number of disappearances in the heavily traveled region is not significantly higher than in other areas similar, and are attributing to factors like bad weather, human error, and equipment malfunction rather than supernatural causes. Now, that is questionable in itself. Why do you think AI would say that it's not supernatural causes? It's almost like it's covering something up, don't you think? Again, that's just my opinion. That and a nickel might get you something, but I doubt it. Now we're going to get into the whole indigenous thing, okay? Some of you that follow me on Facebook know that I posted earlier and yesterday about the certain hair color and eye color of people that are missing, that are never to return. And yes, there are certain things with missing people that are brought into play through, nefarious people, okay? But when it comes to abductions, the majority of people that are abducted are of dark hair, dark eyes, usually indigenous or a minority. Okay. They make up over 40% of the missing with just the eyes alone. Okay. When you add the hair, the dark hair color, it's 60%. That's pretty damn amazing. Almost, but you've got to think, though, that the ones that don't return could be several different reasons. Okay. I'm not just going to say that it was just mass abduction or it was they were all just taken and that was it, and never to return. But you have human trafficking, you have illegal organ harvesting, okay, you have satanic ritual sacrificial means, okay, you have adrenochrome, okay, which is another one, or a food source for non-human. Let's just leave it at that. You have so many different things other than just alien abduction or portals and all that where people just walk into. But what really got me is that if you think about where these locations around the world that I mentioned tonight were located, what's the most common people around those locations? Indigenous people, dark hair, and dark eyes. Could Nighthawk be onto something here? I'm surprised that the powers that be are letting me continue this conversation, to tell you the truth. I'm going to get into the chat, and I'm going to see everybody's comments. I've got them posted on here. Okay. Yes. Thank you, Roxanne. Thank you for being here. If you can, like, share, and subscribe, and smash that thumbs up. It's one thing. Yeah, I have the percentages written down, Bounty. I'll actually have to look them up in my records if they're in the other room. But yeah, I have the percentages written down. Main house, good to see you. There is something to be said about the original people and then the mixed bloodlines. And I really do believe that it's all tied together. I can't get that out of my mind, how it's all connected. Okay? It has to be. Let me see here. I am going to put the link in the chat. I'm interested. I want to bring a couple of you on and see what you think. Okay. So I'm going to give Corey the first opportunity, then Carl. Okay. And then Bounty. Okay. And hopefully by then maybe Eric will be here. But I'm curious to see what everybody thinks. Okay. So if you can let me know who wants to come on, I'll post it in the chat. Okay. And we'll go from there. All right. Hey, Jonaside, good to see you. Bigfoot Dwarf, good to see you. Marcy, good to see you. Josh, good to see you. Oh, Corey can't come on. Okay, well, then maybe Carl or somebody, or even Josh. Just let me know. Okay, let me know in the chat who's going to come on first. because I'm curious to see what you all think about this theory. It's amazing how these gateways and these missing people, whether it's mass abduction or singular abduction, the majority of them are indigenous or minority, dark hair, dark eyes, but yet at the same locations of where the disappearances occur are indigenous cultures. In fact, I'm going to play a video for you guys, okay? And I've played this video once before, but I want you to hear what he says, okay? This is the key thing, all right? I want you to hear what he says. This is Chiapas, Mexico, where the Mayans' biggest pyramids are located, okay?
We've seen redonkulous things, right? So we go down to Chiapas, Mexico. We're rescuing kids down there. I mentioned that one that portaled through Zoom from Chiapas, right? So there's all kinds of next level demonic witchcraft, next level witchcraft down there. So things that manifest, you go, whoa, what is that? I never even heard of like a hybrid spider type person. And that's why all these kids say, you know, man, she looks like a spider. She has many arms. Well, of course, if you go into India, you know, you got all kinds of gods and deities that have multiple arms. The largest Mayan pyramid on the planet Earth is in Chiapas. We are rescuing children in the shadow of that thing. You can literally see the pyramid from my ranch.
Wow. From your ranch?
Yeah. We have a redemption ranch there.
Wow.
And so, and again, we bought turf. We bought physical dirt. We brought in a ministry that's been there for 9 generations. We turned the whole thing over there so that we would have authority within that region. Okay. You don't just come in there swinging the American flag. You come in there in the authority of the kingdom, and you need to know how to operate in authority. So with all that said, we did all this. And at our hotel, there's this big giant rock that has a giant footprint in it. And it's monstrous. I went down there with Brian Schwartz. He's an NFL football player. He wears a size 17 shoe. Okay. This thing was twice the size of his shoe. I hear that you guys got giants down here. And they're like, yeah, we do. And like, okay, well, would they come up out of the ground? Or are they going to, like, yeah, they live in the ground. And they're like, but that's not as scary as the ones that come out of the sky. And I'm like, the ones that come out of the sky? And they said, yes. And they come down and they look like stars and constellations, and they manifest into what look like people. And they threaten us if we don't give them things.
Wow.
So it's like, I know that there's a species of angels that's called the host of heaven. The host of heaven is the constellations. So you can see that whenever Jesus was born, that the shepherds are out in the field, the angels came down as the host of heaven. Well, they were used to seeing those constellations every single night, you know, and they were used to seeing Virgo, the virgin, a clump of stars that is a virgin that has a seed in her, which is impossible. And then from there, Libra, he's going to be a redeemer. From there, Scorpio, he's going to take on death. From there, Sagittarius, he's going to raise from the dead. And it ends at the line of the tribe of Judah, Leo, which is the ecliptic. And so I'm into all that, right? They knew the story in the heavens. The angels that showed up were as those constellations. They're also known as the stars of God. They're also known as the stars. I can guarantee you some of those have fallen. Some of those have rebelled. And they show up down there. The stars come down, they manifest, and all kinds of craziness happens.
Exactly. Think about it, guys. Exactly. To a T. Okay. The same locations are always mentioned. I'm going to bring Josh on with Squatch Topic PA. Okay. So hang on, Josh. I got you in the studio. I'm interested to see opinions. I want to see everybody's opinion in the chat too, because when we're dealing with this topic of abduction, where people just go missing, whether it's mass abduction, whether it's via the air, which I do believe has something to do with the gateways that are mentioned in the Book of Enoch. Okay, I think those are the exact portals. I think there's one over Skinwalker Ranch in Utah. You know, it may not just be Skinwalker Ranch. It may be the entire state of Utah has that gateway over it. Okay, and it's only activated during certain things. And, you know, the more you poke the bear, the more it's going to respond. Okay, so that's what we're dealing with. I'm going to bring Josh on. I want you guys to tell me your opinions in the chat, if you would. Miriam, good to see you. Soundwave, good to see you in the chat. Where'd you go, Josh? You there, Josh? Hold on a second. Let me bring you back on. Let me bring you back on. Hold on. Oh, we just lost him. We just lost Josh. There he comes. You can do it, little buddy. You can do it. Uh-oh. He's not coming on. I got two of yous on here now. Two Squatch topic PAs. Oh, boy. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Catch a tagger by its toe. If he hollers, let him go. Eeny, meeny, miny, mo. Neither one of them have a camera on, Josh, just so you know. Let me see here if I can straighten this mess out. Yeah, it's got to be on your end, bro. I guess my tagger by the tail thing didn't work. At least we're back down. Now we have one picture frame of you in the back studio, but still no picture. It's completely black. Might want to try it again there, boss. Bigfoot Dwarf, good to see you. Huh. Nothing went wrong on my end. I got good signal and everything, dude. That's weird. Well, what do you all think about that? The locations alone, okay, are encompassed with indigenous cultures. Yeah, now I'm back to two of yous. Now I'm back to one of yous. That is weird, Josh. I don't know what's going on, man. I honest to God don't know what's going on. That's not me, and it's it's not the internet here. I think somebody's messing with you on your end. So, anyways, I got to make some more coffee here, or another cup of coffee. Now, main house, I'm glad you say that, but I've really, if I had the funds to travel to these places or the means to do it, I'd rather go in person to investigate it. But I know a lot of our viewing family, our subscriber family, some of them might be at those locations. So maybe they could, help find the rest of the locations. You know what I'm saying? Mount Shasta is a good one. I'm a firm believer that there's one of these gateways by Mount Shasta. I'm a firm believer that the North Pole has one of these gateways. Alaskan Triangle has one of these gateways. I guarantee it. Okay. It could even be possible that around New Brunswick area, that has a lot of USO sightings, there could be a portal in that area. Okay, which could cause the Bridgewater Triangle to kick up activity. You see how it could all be connected? It could all snowball, okay, into things happening. Okay, it's like when you take and you poke a spider web, and the whole web starts to shake. Okay, the way the spider knows that its prey is stuck on the web is from the vibration. It's the same theory. The same theory with these gateways that Enoch talked about in the Book of Enoch. Okay, and it's not just the Book of Enoch that talks about them. Okay, I guarantee there's a portal somewhere over India. Okay, from the Veda text, I guarantee it. Okay, there might even be one on Mount Fuji, or in that area, because of the underground pyramid or the underwater pyramids that were found. These locations are going to have significant structure or significant spiritual significance to the indigenous cultures in the area that could pretty much verify where these gateways are, that the supernatural is coming through, and why we're seeing all these UAPs and UFOs and portals in the sky. Okay, it very well could be the same thing. It's a ripple effect. Okay, it's like Chief Seattle said, all those years ago. What we do to the web, we do to ourselves. It's called a ripple effect. Okay, and there's no reason that the ancient texts of the Bible or the Mahabharata or any of the other scrolls and tablets out there that mention these almost identical things, okay, occurring in the skies. There's opening up, and things happening, wars happening, people disappearing, indigenous cultures having interactions with supernatural beings that look like constellations coming down in the sky. And the closer they get to us, the more they look like different. They're not constellations, they're beings that are coming through these gateways. Okay, and I think a lot of this stuff that we're seeing nowadays, that everybody says, oh, it's an orb, it's a big orb, and it's up in the sky, though, way up there. I don't think those are actual orbs. I think that's the gateways opening up. I really do. Okay, Josh, that's okay. Take your time. I really, really, in my heart of hearts, from my research, believe that what we're seeing 80% of the time that can't be explained in the skies above our heads is supernatural. I really do. And I think a lot of those massive orbs that people are seeing way up in the sky, I believe that is just the portal or the gateway opening up, allowing for those beings to come through. Okay. Some of them you won't see. Some of them you can see, depending on the level of the hierarchy of these supernatural entities. Okay. It's kind of like when we see shadow figures down here. Maybe that's the lowest level of a supernatural entity. And believe me, these are all just thoughts off the top of my head right now. Okay. Talking to you guys. But what if there is that connection? Makes sense to why there's so many indigenous people missing around the globe. Not just in Canada, not just in America, not just in South America, but around the entire globe. Think about it. Michael, good to see you in here. Yeah, well, supernatural doesn't scare me. That's, I'm sorry. I just, call it all the radiation they pumped into my body from the cancers. over the years that I don't have fear anymore. I really don't. I mean, technically, I'm not even supposed to be here, Bounty. So, I mean, that's saying a lot right there. I just don't. I don't have any fear anymore of death. To me, death is not a death. Death is not a definitive thing. I believe that when we leave this body, it's more of a birth process to move on. Okay. So that's just my opinion, though. Okay. I think that they use that word death too much to intimidate people and to make you all afraid. I really do. Yeah. Soundwave, they are looking at intelligent populations, so they are moving to another dimension. Yeah. Yeah, Carl. No, I'm, and it's, man, what the heck? They, all right. It says they will need to connect their mic and camera before that you can add them to the studio. So, Josh, if you can hear me, you need to add your mic and your camera. You have to give them permission to use it. That's what the problem is. Woo, good to see you. I think, honestly, Michael, I think the veil has been ripped apart. I don't think the veil is hardly even there anymore. I really do. I think the veil, or what we call the veil, has gone way beyond thinning. I think it has literally been torn apart. If you think about my reference to earlier in the podcast about how humanity is always poking the bear, okay, almost like they're provoking something to come out of the sky. Why else would we have the weapons that we have? The space exploration we have, which, by the way, the one astronaut came out just recently and said the moon landing never happened back in the 60s. We never had the technology. And he said that even his spacewalk was faked. And that was the most recent one that came out. So you can't believe the powers in control. You can't believe anybody that teaches history because they don't know the history themselves. Okay. They didn't live it. Okay. They didn't live it. Okay. For all I know, my great grandfather, who was full blooded Lakota, could have been 9 feet tall and hairy. I mean, think about it. We just don't know. We just don't know. They have been saying now lately that even the in the old texts of the Bible, that Adam and Eve were 20 feet tall. Okay, that they were considered, into modern terms, to be a giant. Okay, or taller than most. So I mean, we don't know. They say that these dinosaur bones that are in museums are exact to scale. But yet 98% of those bones in those museums are fake. They're just made. So you're literally taking a copy of a copy of a copy of a copy and saying what it is, and it's probably not even what it is. And they've been doing that and shoving that down our throats since day one. Plain and simple. So that's why I started investigating this stuff on my own. It really is. Did you all hear that? I hope you heard that howl. Marcy, good to see you. Bigfoot Dwarf, good to see you. Let's see. It's got to be your internet, brother. I'm sorry, Josh. It's got to be your internet on your phone then, or your data on your phone, because I've got full signal here, dude. Which is funny because Eric hasn't joined us. So exactly. Don't take anything at face value. Yeah, there you go. There's your answer, Josh, right there. It's the Men in Black. You know, I actually, Michael, that's funny because I actually make fun of them a lot. And I'm surprised that they haven't paid me a visit, to tell you the truth. But I'll save that for another time. But I just wanted to come on tonight and basically let everybody know that is literally what my research has figured out, that these locations, and you all that have followed me for a while now know that I'm really big into finding out what's going on with a lot of the missing indigenous people, okay? And non-indigenous people, okay? With the national parks and all that, and, you know, just all the abduction phenomena going on. And it just led me down this road. And the more I studied and I cross-referenced into a lot of the ancient texts and stuff out there, the more I started seeing similarities. Okay. Well, take for instance the Middle East. Okay. What are most of the Middle Eastern people looking like? Dark hair, dark eyes. What's the most common missing people in the entire world? Dark hair, dark eyes. So it just, you know, and then that led me to checking out other references and then going and finding out where abductions happen and missing people happen. And it all correlated. It all came together. There he is. Let's bring him on now and get his opinion. All right, guys, here's Josh from Squatch Topic, PA.
I shut off my internet and used my phone's internet instead.
Oh, there you go. Yeah, it seems to be doing pretty good. Michael said that the Men in Black.
Talking about the Bermuda.
Ooh, you're breaking up, man. Here, let me turn my camera off. Maybe that'll help. I'll turn my camera off. Let me see if that'll help. All right, go ahead.
All right. Yeah, the MIB don't want to hear what I have to say. You see? But my father-in-law, he was VP 56 in the Navy. They were submarine hunters. They flew around in P3s from, and they were down in Florida, and they would fly up, you know, from what base was he in? I don't know naval bases, but
Pensacola.
I think I forgot. Yeah, Pensacola, Florida, up to Norfolk, Virginia, but they would always patrol the Bermuda Triangle, and they would shoot sonars down looking for submarines, and he told me a story one time, and it was documented. And what happened was they were flying to Bermuda, they were shooting signals down looking for submarines. And what happened was not only were there spots where the signals would never come back, almost like you were going into abysses where there was no bottoms.
Like an abyss.
But at the same time, yes, he said that the water, like the ocean, all the whitecaps disappeared. He said it was so smooth that you could shave on it. And right after the water went smooth, no whitecaps, no nothing, smooth as glass, there was a tunnel cloud formed around them, and he said there was like purple electric static going on inside these clouds. And then what happened? Wow, this is lagging. But what happened was they disappeared off of 3 radar screens. Total, and I gotta say a half hour, but it was 28 minutes and 32 seconds. During that period, they were gone. All their stuff, like I said, their landing gear were down. Their landing gear was up. Their compass was searching for true north. It was just rotating. Their altimeter said they were on the ground when obviously they were flying. Nothing was working. Everything was reading backwards. And he said he walked into the cockpit because he was a radio hand. When he went to the cockpit, he said he looked at the pilot and said, "Gene, who's flying this plane?" And he said, "Not me," because the pilot just had his hands on his belly. He wasn't flying it. The whole time they were gone, they did not burn one drop of fuel, but yet that plane ran. And then after the 28 minutes, they came back on the radar. And when they landed, they had a big meeting with the admirals and stuff. He said the admiral came in and said, "Gentlemen, this never happened." But what happens is he drinks his vodka and he starts embellishing a little more on it. Because what happens is when he's sober, he starts talking about it. Then he cuts himself off and says, "Oh, I can't talk about it no more." But when he has a little sip, he lets more out. He talked about the balls of light that were flying alongside of the wings, the way they maneuvered. He also talked about lights coming from the water. And then he started talking about some sort of creature, but then every time he gets to that point, he shuts up and refuses to talk further.
And
he refuses to speak further.
That's not uncommon either, though, Josh, because a lot of reports of what I think are being seen through these portals are what we would interpret as creatures, but they could be supernatural beings.
Yes.
Because even Enoch was terrified, and
I believe that. Well,
yeah. So I mean,
what he's seen in the portals, yes.
Yeah. So I mean, it's amazing the correlation. If you can actually open your mind up enough to actually do the thorough research and investigate all the Vedas, all the scrolls, and the missing apocryphas and stuff from the Bible. It's amazing the correlation you can have, the uncanny resemblance and familiarity that is described in certain ancient scripture, of events that happen today. And it just dawned on me that, hey, this has all got to be connected. It literally does. And to find these locations of these gateways is a main goal. It's a main goal of mine to find these gateways. And I think I've already got a few of them figured out.
Mm-hmm. Well, they took his plane. He said that the Air Force came and took the plane, and then they turned it over to a civilian contractors who went over everything. And he said their plane was gone for about 9 months. They got it back about 9 months later after the investigation was over on it. But it was classified, top secret, because he had top secret clearance just to get on that plane because it had nuclear capabilities. And the only reason he opened up about it was because he saw a documentary on the History Channel, and his plane was on that documentary. They were talking about his crew. That's when that's when he was like, "Oh, I guess it's declassified," but I don't know how much of it is declassified to talk about.
Exactly. And here's another thing too to consider. Okay, when we talk about portals and gateways and all that, who's to say that they're a specific size? Okay, what if what we're seeing is just what we're capable of seeing?
Right.
Okay, what if the portal or the gateway could be the size of an entire
with our
state?
Frequency?
Yeah, I mean, it's amazing to me that when we see something in the sky, we think that it's this object that's not as big as it seems to be. Okay. And yet, when you take in consideration
Right.
the area of weirdness that happens, like the entire state of Utah, okay, the entire state practically of Alaska, okay, the entire area of the Bermuda Triangle, you know, you can't help but coordinate that portals can be as big as they want to be. Okay, so maybe what we're seeing is only what we can comprehend with our spectrum of vision.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Well, you also got to take in consideration to electromagnetic anomalies and stuff like that. But also, in the bottom of the triangle, there's a crystal pyramid down there.
Yeah.
You know that lets off frequencies.
Yeah. Well,
it resonates.
Well, there's the Black Pyramid in Alaska.
Now, yeah, I know you get it, Nighthawk. What I mean with frequency and all that.
Yeah. Yeah. There is,
Mm-hmm.
you know, there's
in
something
Africa
to be said. About frequency. There's something to be said about frequency, and you know, it's been my observation from working with frequency, because I have even got my speaker right here, that certain frequencies you can open up a portal. Okay, plain and simple, you can. Okay, if you have the equipment to do it.
Well, what do you think Tesla was all about, man? The way he harnessed electricity? Yes.
Yep.
You know, Tesla was into all that.
Sorry, I'm still hearing the howling. I'm gonna have to go outside. Jason, good to see you in the chat, my friend. I see Carl's still in there.
I go outside when I hear that stuff too. Hello, Mr. Finch.
All right, let's see.
But yeah, there's a lot involved when it comes to this that they try to cover it up, but I think it's natural. Another thing too is whenever they landed, all their watches were 28 minutes and 32 seconds ahead of everybody else. And that whole time they were gone, they didn't burn one drop of fuel. So something was powering that aircraft while it was in that vortex. But it wasn't fuel.
Sorry, I'm going through the chat right now.
The fuel in planes is based on the time and all that. They had exactly the amount of time that was on their watches is exactly how much fuel was left in the tank that shouldn't have been.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's another thing too. That even the pilot that got into the vortex and the gateway in his Cessna said that he didn't even use half the fuel that he normally would use. You know, and he got to his location, you know, an hour or so ahead of schedule by going in to that vortex, gateway, portal, whatever you want to call it. So maybe, just maybe, a lot of these aircraft that don't return, a lot of these people that don't return are stuck in there and can't get out. So where do they go? That's the thing. Do they go to the heavens?
Or in a time loop.
Yeah, or in a time loop. Yeah.
You know, it's another thing I heard. The Grand Canyon, I heard that there's a portal that goes from Grand Canyon to Africa.
Yeah, I mean, there's no answer to how big a gateway or a portal can be. Okay, it can be infinite. I mean, for all we know, even a black hole can be a portal. Okay,
it's all in the energy.
Yeah, science has not proven anything about black holes. who's going to? You know, are they going to go there themselves and stick their little head down a black hole's ass? No, they're not. They're lying to us. Okay? They're literally lying to us.
CERN will do it. Yeah, like they lied about the moon.
Yeah.
Except Buzz Aldrin.
Let's see. Well, I don't think Eric's going to be making it on. Wow, we've already gone over my time limit, anyways. You know, Josh, I want to thank you for coming on, bro. But yeah, there's so much to this research that I might even be doing a second part on this because I want to find definitive answers to where these locations are. I want to find these locations. I want to get it documented.
It's like the Transformer. More meets the eye.
Yeah, exactly. So, but I want to be able to record these locations and mark them and map them so future researchers can coordinate with missing people, missing aircraft, you know, weird phenomena, missing indigenous cultures around the world. I mean, and it's all connected. It is literally all connected. So, but thank you, Josh, for coming on, brother.
Well, NASA released a report a while back about X points.
Yeah.
Saying that X points lead to different dimensions and places. Yep. Love, peace, squash, squeeze.
All right, guys. Well, thank you, everybody. And I will I'll do a second one on this. I'm only good for about an hour or so tonight. I got a lot of weirdness going on outside. I got to check it out. So I want to thank everybody for being here. Thank Josh for coming on with Squatch Topic PA. If you don't follow him, follow his channel on YouTube. Thank you to the chat. You guys are phenomenal. If you can, like this, share this out, and do your own research. You know, help me out on this if you can, because we got to find these locations, and these locations do exist. Okay, we're gonna blow the lid off of this stuff. You know, I'm sick and tired of science and historians telling me the way our world is. I mean, why do we take their word for it anyways? You know, think about it. So keep on questioning everything, guys. Okay. I'm going to try and come on tomorrow morning. I have some things to do in the morning, but I'm going to try and get back here to get in on here at 11 a.m. tomorrow morning. Okay. So until then, question everything, be safe, and I will see you all in the morning. Take care, everybody.
Through the mist we rise, a force unbroken, with banners high and hearts awoken. The sound of pipes, our war is calling. Like thunderous waves, our duty is falling. Stand tall, together we fight, with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. In unity our hearts shall sing, the legacy of warriors through every reign. With battle cries we forge our fate, in fields of valor we elevate. As shadows loom, our spirits flee. Brothers in arms, we are the trees. Fearless, we take the night with courage found in every breath. We'll fight like lions, defy our death. Unity, our hearts shall sing the legacy of warriors through every reign. As dawn breaks, we know our name.